All right, this is some truly bombshell developments here. I don't know if you guys have been following this. So first we got reports that this Israeli cyber surveillance company, Israel here, NSO Group, which has a product called Pegasus, which they've been selling to foreign governments and agencies like not the FBI, but the equivalent of the CIA in other countries. That Pegasus app essentially allows you to hack into anyone's phone, and you don't even have to like click on a link. If you just receive a message from this group, they can then get into your phone, see your messages, see your photos, all of your data is there. So there's long been questions about whether this group, NSO Group, which Anita Dunn's lobbying shop lobbies for, by the way, we'll put that to the side. Anyway, whether they were actually policing the people they were selling this software to make sure it was being used appropriately. And of course, they've always said, and they continue to say, yes, of course, we cut contracts if we find that they're abusing the software whatsoever, because this is incredibly, incredibly powerful, lets you into people's phones to see whatever you want. Well, here's the first news report. Major Israeli cyber surveillance company NSO Group came under heightened scrutiny Sunday after an international alliance of news outlets reported that governments using this software targeted journalists, dissidents, and opposition politicians. By the way, the Israeli government is also facing renewed international pressure for allowing the company to do business with authoritarian regimes that use the spyware for purposes that go far afield of the company's stated aim, which is supposedly targeting terrorists and criminals. As the week has gone on, we have learned more about exactly who was allegedly targeted with this intense surveillance. So we already knew that journalists from countries including Azerbaijan, France, Hungary, India, and Morocco, it appeared that they had been hacked. But we also learned that heads of state appear to have been targeted by this software, which would again allow whoever is behind it to see everything that is going on their phone. This is from the Washington Post. Here's who's on the list. 3 sitting presidents, I think we have a tear sheet for this. We do. France's Emmanuel Macron, Iraq's Barham Saleh, South Africa's, I'm gonna screw up all these names, Cyril Ramaphosa, 3 current prime ministers from Pakistan, Egypt, Morocco, 7 former prime ministers, and 1 king of Morocco. So heads of state, prime ministers, a king, all these people targeted allegedly by this Pegasus software. And again, they deny it, et cetera, et cetera. But Washington Post was able to go in, and essentially they got this list of phone numbers. This leak was like a list of 50,000 phone numbers that were allegedly targeted by this surveillance software. They were able, through their own journalistic network, to confirm that these numbers belong to people like Emmanuel Macron, et cetera.
Some of them even answer the phone.
So, yeah. And then the way that they were able to confirm that these phone numbers appear to have been targeted is in some of the lower level people. I don't think they were able to do this with like the kings and the prime ministers and whatever that were targeted, but some of the journalists and activists and dissidents who were targeted, they were able to examine the phones and see that they had been targeted by this software. And that served as confirmation that this list is in fact accurate and that all of these individuals were being surveilled. Some of the other one other high profile case of people who were targeted by this Pegasus software is a lot of people that were around Jamal Khashoggi. So people who were close to Jamal Khashoggi. And we know that the Saudi government has purchased this software. It has a contract with NSO. So this is really scary for a lot of reasons. It's a combination of, business and government, total intrusion into your life as we live so much of our lives on our phones. Journalists have to wonder, like, anything I'm sending here, even in encrypted apps, is not really private. How can I possibly do my job and not fear for my life if these authoritarian governments are able to track my every word and every movement? Very scary indicator, not just of things to come, but of where things stand today. Because, by the way, this isn't the only company that is doing this sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And to your point, which you previewed there, which is that this firm's got deep ties here in Washington. So Biden's former campaign manager, Anita Dunn, who now works at the White House and #2 communications aide, well, she used to lobby for this firm. So let's put that up there. From Kenneth Vogel, he found this, that NSO Group was behind the spyware. Aide, SKD Knickerbocker, which is Biden advisor Anita Dunn's firm, for advice until late 2019. NSA Group also paid Beacon Global Strategies, which was started by Jeremy Bash. You might know him from MSNBC. Well, until early 2020, he was on the payroll. It said that SKD Knickerbocker, Anita Dunn's firm, quote, provided communications and business strategy advice. So Biden's former campaign manager, right before taking the job, on the payroll for this firm. I'm not saying they had inside information or whatever, but it goes to show you these people weren't a joke. They knew what they were doing. You only pay SKD Knickerbocker and Beacon Global Strategies if you've got deep pockets and you need real defense for the military-industrial complex.
You didn't need to have any inside info about, just how widespread the abuse of this Pegasus software ultimately was. There have long been a lot of reports and a lot of questions about, why are you selling this to the Saudis? What, you think they're going to use this in like a, in a completely above board way?
And they're famous for doing that.
Yeah, and a lot of the countries that this was sold to, they keep their client list secret so that, you can't know exactly which countries, but a lot of the countries that they were selling to, these were not like incredible bastions of democracy, authoritarian governments that it's no surprise we're using this in ways that it should not ultimately be used. This is a tremendous, tremendous amount of power being given to some very sketchy players around the globe. And this list of 50,000 cell phone numbers that was leaked that, were allegedly targeted and surveilled, this is people across 600 government officials and politicians from 34 countries, and the names themselves were across 50 different countries. So this is around the globe. Journalists from the AP and the New York Times and CNN who were working overseas, their numbers were on this list. So really troubling, really widespread. And frankly, I think we're only going to learn more here about who exactly was targeted and what exactly this information was being used for.
Yeah, I think there's a lot still left to come out about this. Edward Snowden had said this is going to be one of the biggest leak investigations for a long time, and it's very possible there are troves of data on all these people, private communications and more, not just from the journalists, from the heads of state that could come out. Could be a whole WikiLeaks 2.0 thing. We truly have no idea.
Too.
Activists too, which is really troubling. And it goes to show we need a lot more regulation around this type of stuff. And by the way, Apple, what happened? Tim Apple told me that I have the most secure phone on earth, right? And it's like, oh, we don't work with the FBI, but now apparently these Israelis know how to hack all of our phones.
Yep.
And then they're willing to sell this data to some of the most nefarious people on the planet. So everybody take care of your phone. Shout out to the one guy who once told me that I opened my phone password here on Rising. He's like, I know your password, you should change it.
What's so scary about this though, and the Apple thing is real, because they've long touted their security procedures, and I do think they actually care about it more than
they definitely do.
More than other companies, but it didn't matter. Android, Apple, it didn't matter. And the other thing that's really troubling here is there's not really anything you can do to protect yourself, because, a lot of these sorts of things, you get the sketchy text message, you have to actually click on the link for your phone to be infected.
I never do. Don't do that.
But the reports are you don't even have to do that. If you just receive the text message, you're already host. So there's literally nothing you can do. There's no, password hygiene or any of that you can use to protect yourself against that, which is as evidenced by the fact that, people like Emmanuel Macron, who I'm sure, does what he can to keep his stuff protected, that even he would be vulnerable. And again, doesn't matter if you're using Signal or one of the other encrypted apps, still not protected, still not truly secret here. So that's what's so scary about it, is there's nothing you can do to protect yourself. There are all these rogue regimes out there that have this type of technology. You're going to use it against anyone that they don't happen to like, who maybe does a mean segment about them on a YouTube show when they want to go and go to a wedding and just
let me go to my friend's wedding, okay, please.
Very troubling.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.